Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about percent equation and the equation that we use in regards to working with percents, the whole number, and then the part of the equation for that. So in order for you to really have a good firm grasp of this, I need you guys to go ahead and recall how to find a percent. So here's a reminder right here. I have basically the part divided by the whole equals the percent. So an example of this would be if I gave you a test of 30 questions and you only got 12 right. I'm going to take the 12, I'm going to divide it by 30, and I will get 0.4. Move the decimal over 2 times to get my percent, and I have 40%. So on this test that you would have taken that you got 12 right, you got 40%, which is not a passing grade. I feel like I need to tell you that. So again, when you're trying to find the percent, it's the number you got right divided by what was total. So if you need to practice that, let me know. You need practice problems, say something, because this is something that you do need to know. This will be something that you cover for the rest of your school career, because when you're trying to figure out your grades and things like that. So moving on. All right, the equation that we're working with in regards to percent is going to be A equals P times W. So P equals so. And if I had to explain that to you like so, A is going to be part. So A right here would be the 12 that you see up here. The percent is going to be what we see right here, this 0.4. Because one thing I do need to remind you is even though this says 40%, when you're working with this equation here, never actually put 40% because that will really mess up your numbers. It has to be in decimal form. Has to be. Anytime you use this equation, this right here has to be a decimal. Do not put 40, because if you try to work this equation the way that it needs to be, your numbers will be way off the chart. And we'll go through some practices with that later so that way you can understand better what I'm talking about. The last one here, W, is right here. W is the whole. So in this example that I gave you, which was you got 12 problems out of 30 right, your whole is 30. Your whole is how many numbers were on the test. So another example of whole is how many hours are there in a day? There's 24. How many minutes are there in an hour? There's 60. How many seconds in a minute? 60 again. If I had to look at my classroom right now, the total amount of people in my classroom, like let's say during third hour is 16. I have 16 people in my room. That's including me. So 16, the whole. It's the total number. Now, if I had to take this and plug it into that, it would look a lot like this. So my 12, which is the part, would be on this side of the equation. Not this side, not under, not over. It's on this side of the equation right here. The 0.4, remember, because I said that this percent has to be a decimal. So turn my percent into a decimal, I get 0.4, goes right here. And then that's going to be times my whole. And that's right here. So my W is this. Now, a lot of you are asking me recently, why am I switching to the dot instead of using the multiplication sign? And the reason for that is because since we're moving more into variables, I find that sometimes students get very confused and they see x and they actually think it is a variable. So we're moving away from the x and we're embracing the dot. No choice. We're doing that. While we are using this equation, I want you guys to recall back to a month ago when we were talking about, actually about a month and a half ago, when we were talking about expressions and equations and what we were doing to solve for the variable. So you're going to see a lot of what we covered right here being used right here. If you don't have those notes, please go find them and review them, or if you need new notes, let me know. Now that we've gone ahead and I've kind of decoded how this looks, I want to show you how it looks more like in a sentence form and help you understand about how to break this all down so that way you can try and figure out what questions are asking for or asking you to solve for. So first thing that we're going to look for is I have 12 is of what percent is 30? 12, actually that should be 12 is 12, it's not 12 it's 12 is, so that's my fault. So 12 is what percent of 30? So I need to check and see what numbers I have first. The first thing that I, as your teacher, always look for is there a percent here? I see the word percent, but I don't actually see a percent sign. So my first thought is that I'm probably solving for a percent. Another thing that I can do is take a look at the other numbers that I have here. So 12 is what percent? So 12 is what percent of 30. So, total typos there. Now, if I had to go ahead and solve this with our handy dandy calculators, right? You're going to take 12 and divide it by 30. And that will get me, guess, it's going to get me 0.4. So now, since I know that I have my part and I know that I have my whole, I am definitely looking for my percent. So this question is helping me look for percent. Now, I want to be really clear. If you have a sentence and it's sitting there and it's saying something like what percent right here, do you see this, what percent? I can go ahead and pretty much give you the freebie that this is always going to be asking for the percent itself. So keep that in mind. If you see a question and it says two numbers and it is what percent of, then you're looking for the percent. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's move on to the next one real quick. So what number is 40% of 30? So remember earlier when I said the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try and look for my percent. Well, I have it right here. Here's my 40%. I have 40%. So now I have to relook at this. So what number is 40% of 30? So 40% of 30. So this sounds like this is my whole. So if I have my percent and I have my whole, then I'm looking for the part. And anytime that you are looking for the part, and I'm going to do a video where we're going to be using this a lot more to help you solve for these things, but right now I'm going to go ahead and tell you that if 40% of 30 is 12. Now, next one, and it's the last one. So 12 is 40% of what number? 12 is 40% of what number? So I have my percent. Remember, first thing I said I was going to do is look for the percent. I have it right here. 12 is 40% of what number? So of what number? 12 is 40% of what number? So it sounds like this is my part and this is my percent. So I'm going to check both that off. So that means that I'm looking for my whole right there. And in the next video I'm going to show you about how I take these numbers and plug them into the equation in order to help solve for that. But what I really want you guys to focus on a lot is being able to read and understand what questions are asking you, because in a lot of tests that are coming up that you guys need to take, you're going to see a lot more word problems and you need to be able to read and figure out, what is it that you're looking for.